All right, back again. It's been 2-3 days since I've been on this Gen 4 5.3. I don't even know what day it is. I know it's a Wednesday. I actually started this on the last video you seen of me starting to tear it down to check those bores were I think that was Sunday, November 10th. Does that sound right? And anyway, I had to work a couple of days. The weather went from 70 on Sunday. This is Kansas, so what do you expect? To 800 miles an hour winds, and it's been subarctic ever since. I think today's already warmer at 26 with a wind chill of about 13. It's already better than it has been. But anyway, it's cold, so I got to start on. All I've done is because I know that half the time I have to heat these bolts up because they're Loctited in. I'm talking about the one that holds the balancer on, but actually a little bit of work came off without having to heat it up. So I got my jaws turned around, got it on here. I know they say not to use an impact on these, but this is pretty robust. It's a pretty good size unit, and with the heads off and one of the pistons out, and without I could put a couple of bolts in the crank at the end and then try to put like a bar or something in there to stop it from turning. But right now it turns way too easy to try to put a wrench on this and try to pull this off. So I'm going to cheat. I'd always lubricate these if you can, just to make sure that it's not, you're not doing that dry, especially with a gun. So always lube them threads just a little bit. I'm just going to use a little bit of assembly lube, so just laying here handy. I do have oil and other stuff, but that's what I'm going to use. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start taking this loose. Sorry about the noise. Yeah, it's coming off. I got the impact set at its lowest setting, so I'm not abusing it, like just beating on it real hard. On, you can't hear it. It just got really tight. That's another reason why I'm going slow. I backed that bolt off, but it's only backed off so far. And the reason I did that is because there's nothing for that to grab a hold of, and I didn't want to booger the end of the crankshaft up with the tool. So you have to stop. The way I have to do it is I got to stop, let the pressure off this, undo that bolt a little bit more, and keep going that direction. And no, it's not easy to try to set this up by yourself. Another reason why I did it off camera is nothing really wants to stay where it belongs. Part of it, I'll show you what I'm grabbing hold of. They made this, this must be a little bit different setup as far as the balancer goes than the Gen 3s, because it looks like there's more meat on it to grab a hold of with this puller, where the Gen 3s, there wasn't much to get a hold of, at least on the first 3 or 4 years. Boy, them things were trying to line back up. Sometimes the best thing to do, and I'll show you on that too, on the bolt, this particular puller, it has more of a, it's kind of got I'm not going to call it a nipple for better lack of word, but it has like a pin kind of sticking out, and if the bolt's flat on it, especially if it doesn't have a little bit of a shoulder on there, it'll try to walk off sometimes as you're trying to pull it. It's sometimes better to take a little bit of a drill and just put a little bit of a countersink in it just for that center pin to hold on to. It's close, because I don't have any more threads to grab a hold of. I noticed it wasn't holding on there very good. I had somebody comment, said he enjoyed my videos. I didn't figure hardly anybody was really enjoying them because of the fact that, not because nobody comments, good or bad. I mean, I've had mostly everybody, it's been really good. I've only had one that was kind of, it really wasn't bad. It was just because I jumped from an LS to that old 65 Mustang there a while back. Somebody wasn't happy about that, I guess. But as far as video, I wasn't sure because I'm not very good at this, number one. As far as video, I still am no good at doing editing. And something else is I seem to talk more than I get anything done. Let me do this a little bit more here. I'm running out of bolt here. I'm going to have to do something different. I don't have any more thread. I'm afraid I'm going to start tearing something up where I don't stop. Let's see here. Sorry, I had to get a drink of coffee. Kind of early. Well, for me it's early. It's still on there. I mean, I'm out almost, it's like 3/4 of an inch. So let me see what I can find. A socket would probably work. Let's see what I got. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but doable. Let's see what else I got. Yeah, I like that better. Basically, it's just an old impact socket, 3/8 drive, and I think it's 3/8. May not be 15/16. It won't go in the. It actually won't go inside it, but you can see what I'm talking about. Keep that out of the way. It's kind of flattened out over the years, and you can see where it's actually hit a few things. Doing it like this, but so they can't hang on that bolt no more. Causing everything to get loose, and now everything's falling apart every time I go to touch it. So this is something you got to work around, and like I said, there's sometimes it's not necessarily a specialty tool, but not everybody has this, and has these pullers. I think I've got a 2-jaw, and this can actually be set up as a 2-jaw, and I've got a small 3, and of course an actual balancer puller for the old school that actually has bolts in it, which I've used on that Nissan here a couple of times. And one problem is you can't hold this all together and do this at the same time. This is where it's nice to have an extra hand. Will you want to come over and hold this real quick for me? Anyway, I said this isn't, like I said, a super specialty tool, but it's probably something that I want to grab, but that ain't right. There we go. Come on. What I have used, and I'm not going to do it this time, is I have actually put zip ties around to kind of keep stuff lined up. All right, I'll just have to not do that for a second. Furnace is kicking on and off, obviously, because it is cold. That's one thing I'm thankful for. I'm not doing this outside. I said it's almost off. It's just being a little bit cantankerous. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. this one. I think the last video I did, I dropped it on the floor. On most of your Gen 1 and Gen 2 small block, I think, on small block Chevys, they all have a keyway on the balancer, so they only actually go on one way. And what I mean by key is, hang on a second, I'll show you. All right, you can turn off anytime. Hang on a second, let me let this compressor shut off. Thank you. Okay, this is the balancer off of that one of those Nissan 3-liter V6. You see that notch cut? That's a keyway, and it goes all the way through. It comes out the other side. And what that does is there's a keyway on the crankshaft, and when that slides on there, there's no way this thing could ever turn. It stays with the crankshaft all the time. And for whatever reason, sorry for walking in front of the camera. Good quality cameramanship there. But GM, and actually a lot of them are doing that. Chrysler, I noticed, did that. Even on their supercharged Hellcat engines, they don't have a keyway in there. And I don't know why they would do that. But if you notice on these, they're completely smooth. There's no keyway in it. And the crankshaft also does not have a cutout for it. In normal day-to-day applications, that's fine. That they Loctite that big old bolt in there, and that thing isn't going anywhere. However, if you're wanting to put a supercharger on there or a lot more horsepower, they actually make a kit. You set this tool over top of here while your balancer is on, the bolt's out, and it actually drills part of the crank and part of the balancer at the same time, and it actually runs a dowel pin in. And on the I seen a guy who's rebuilding a Hellcat that was burnt. So you may have seen him on YouTube. I kind of like watching him. I mean, I don't know where he gets all his money. I had good grief. He spent a lot of money on the cars. He's got a McLaren and some other stuff, but I like watching him. But when he did that he actually did two of them, one top and bottom. So I mean, opposite of each other. So there's actually two of them. I think that's a really good idea in his application, especially with that. You know, we're talking. He's actually had that Hellcat engine modified even, so I know it's going to put more than 700 horse. So anyway, but just to be aware of that, these don't have anything to do with timing, so there's no way that it really matters. You know, a lot of the small blocks, one of the reasons they did it was for timing purposes too, is when you slide that on there, the line it was on your balancer lined up with then your, you know, the mark on your timing cover, and that's how you timed them. So you couldn't get that off. You know, you knew exactly where top dead center was by the way your balancer went on. But anyway, let me get another drink of coffee. It's going off fast. Okay. Like I said, I got to get a motor mount. That one ain't going to work. I'm going to start taking the rest of this stuff apart. I have not marked anything as far as the rest of the. When you see me walk away the other day, until I touch that balancer bolt, I haven't touched this engine. So I'm basically starting from scratch again from where I stopped. I'm going to get motor mount out of the way. Timing cover I'm going to get out. I think this has to do, like I said, with the. Because the Gen 3s don't have whatever this thing is. So when I pull this off, I'll see what it is. Looks like it's got an O-ring seal and it's leaking anyway. In front of the camera again. Looks like I'm going to have to get a bit of an extension. This shroud, this heat shield, I mean, that they put on here, I'm not very impressed with. I told you I'd show you that bolt. Yeah, see this this heat shield they put around there, when that's up there where that belongs, you can barely get to. This is on the engine. I'm gonna drop this bolt if I don't hang on to it. So it's on the engine like this. You can get to these bolts when you can see them, but it was at an angle like this. You got steering in the way, brake lines, and a whole mess of stuff. Boy, I was having a miserable time getting them, and then they were locked out at the end. All right, this is that. Like I said, this is the crank bolt or the balancer bolt, and I just put just a little bit of a, just like I said, just a little bit. I didn't take away from the material. I didn't make this bolt unusable or anything, but I did make it to where you could, kind of holds that. Otherwise, I've seen those things kind of walk, especially when they're brand new and they got a pretty good. You think with a pretty good point that they would stay stationary, but if some of those bolts are hard, it kind of walks all over, and then it puts that tool at an angle, then it keeps trying to flop off and kind of be stupid. So, all right, let's keep moving instead of talking. I'm not getting anywhere. I got to get this completely apart, look at everything, and then start getting parts ordered. I try to keep these together. A lot of the rear bolt covers and the front bolt covers are the same, but these aren't like the same as these bolts, and they're not the same as some of the other ones. So when I pull these off, I usually try to keep the bolts all together with whatever component it took off of. Otherwise, like I did with the motor mount, some of the other bolts, like this is a ground wire on this. This is the bottom bolt for the power steering and alternator bracket. I try to put everything back the way it was. Now some of them I had to get out of the way to pull it, like the bolts for the water pump I just left in the water pump. Until I clean that up and take the gasket stuff off of it, they'll just get in my way sitting on the engine. But I try to leave everything together. Most of the bolts are interchangeable, but not every one of them. So keep that in mind. A little bit of extra length on that would, I'm looking for my pry bar. Which I cannot find. I can't believe my garage is still a mess. I kind of expected it to be clean by the time I got back here, but no, that's not how it works. I think somebody would sneak in here and commit a neatness for me or something. All right, let's see what we can do here. I just barely tapped on that with a hammer. Just enough to break it. So anyway, it doesn't look bad. Looks normal, 200,000 miles. Now on these, they have a, I don't know if all the Gen 4s have them, and I'll show you once we get the oil pump out of the way, but they actually have a piece that goes between the timing chain to keep tension on it for stretching purposes, I guess. I don't know if that has to do with help out the valve timing. I don't know what it all does, but it keeps tension on that chain. And then something else that they went with is a single bolt on the cam that holds the top timing gear on. And the Gen 3s, at least every Gen 3 I've had, I don't know about the LS1, 6s, 7s, I don't know a lot about the, well, 7's not, but they had a 3-bolt, timing cover that holds on. So, like I said, there are some differences on there. I know I'm going to have to pull this to get that oil pump off there. It's going to be replaced anyway, so I don't care how it comes off. I've already got the pickup tube off, if you recall. Slides right off. I've still got the bolt for the pickup tube on it. Wrong way. I'm just putting these back in, just like I said, so I remember where they go. I could set them in the oil pump, which is what I did last time. If they start getting in my way, that's what I'll do. Let me show you that real quick. Anyway, this is, I've shown you this on the Gen 3s. Gen 4s apparently are the same way. Pickup tube goes there. It only has 1 bolt that holds it up, even though there are actually, I don't know if you're looking at, there are actually 2 bolts that you could put in there. The pickup tube is only set up to have 1. So this is how the Gen 3s are also. So that has not changed. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just, that's how it is. Like I said, on some of the Gen 3 stuff I was talking about, a lot of them, what I've seen people do was actually modify or put a big washer on another bolt, and that pickup tube's held down by two bolts. I don't see a problem with that, but I also see on stock applications that really isn't necessary. I don't believe. I've never seen one fall off. The failure point is the O-ring usually. So, okay, let me show you this before I take it apart. This is different, like I said, than the. Let me get the. I got oil all over me already. Grab the camera is not my best interest. Here's the timing. Slack adjuster, whatever you want to call it. I'll angle you where it's half straight, but those two bolts come out, and then it's got like a center piece in there with the guide on there, and I'm not sure about the outer guide. It looks like it's just kind of a spring-loaded deal. Talking about that one, runs from from there up. We'll kind of see how it goes, but that center piece I'll kind of show you after I pull it off what it looks like. So this is first for me. I've just seen videos on it myself. I've never really had one that had this on it. Well, I've had Gen 4 engines, I just never had to work on them. I had a C6 Corvette with an LS2. Oh no, that actually stays, that's all one piece. So you actually take the chain off, then take these off. Alright. Learn something new every day. I'm going to put it back on there just so I don't lose my bolts. Let me get that one off, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to walk in front of the camera. Fail! Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to have to go back to my standard. 19 won't cut it. Nope, I have to go back to. I think it's 7/8. No, 15/16. Fail again. Alright. What's a big old. That is a big bolt. Good night. Believe me, guys, I never expected it to be that big. What's it do? Hold the transmission on too? Not funny, huh? Alright, so now let's try this. Now, it still has a dowel pin in it, so that the cam gear won't turn on, and I'll show you that too. But if I can get it off and separated. If I can get in there and get that loose at the same time. I have a feeling no. Let's see if I can move this timing gear to the bottom gear. I'm not hurting anything. All this stuff's getting replaced. I don't want to damage that. I don't know if I got to replace this the tensioner or not. I'll look at that. I don't know if they sell it like as a whole timing kit. I don't really know. Ow! My finger. It's loose on there. Alright, try to pull the whole cam out. And the screwdriver's gone. Said it's got a dowel pin in it still. It's on the crank, or cam, excuse me. So. I mean, it's hard to say when you've got that on there if there's actually any slop on the timing set, because it's all it's automatically kind of self-tightening. And then this. Well, I'm just looking at this because I'm trying to figure out, it does have a spring in it built into the back. I know you're going to have trouble seeing it, it's kind of dark, but that must be, if because this is just kind of like a guide. This doesn't seem to move at all because this is bolted here, and this is the only moving piece. So my guess is, yeah, that's what moves. So as the thing, that's where your give is. Now what causes it to keep putting pressure on it? Spring eventually is going to go, I would think, but now I could see where it's been riding. It has been riding in there pretty deep. So I guess that is enough spring load. It keeps pressure on that spring all the time, but to me that would be something that would wear the chain because it's always got more pressure on it than it needs. But I can see it keeping it in time a little bit better. I want to set this down as all one unit with the bolts left in it. I don't know if I've got to replace that or not. It doesn't look like it's super wore, but and there's obviously still spring to it, but I don't know anything about it. That bolt, good night. Cam retainers holding it in, plus, excuse me, still hacking lung cookies up a little bit. Actually, I don't know why I didn't think about it. Here's the cam. This is that bad cam that was off that 5.3. This is the cam off of a Gen 3. It's still got the dowel pin, but it's got a 3-bolt to hold the top, timing gear on. Cam timing gear, whatever you want to call it. So. Good night. Dry bar. Right where I left it. I'm just trying to get this off here. If I can't, I can make this gear disappear. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it off without getting a hammer and I don't want to damage the crankshaft. I don't want to damage the surfaces of anything that I have to have. I can't tell if it moved or not. I'm going with not. Ow! I think it did move a little. I have found these not to be hard to get off generally. Or matter of fact, some of the new ones actually go on a little easier than I like. But see, everything kind of holds it on. The balancer puts pressure on it. The oil pump rides on it. Nothing's really going anywhere. Well, I'd like to get that off there before I pull the crank out, just so that it'd be easier to, instead of fighting that crankshaft on the floor. I can't really tell if it's moving or not. I'm going with not. I think my big pry bar is outside, underneath that Yukon. Well, I'm going to go get some more coffee, and I'm going to fight getting this off. I mean, this is kind of self-explanatory. That has to come off. So I'll be back here in a minute.